Now, if we wanted to calculate the degrees of freedom for this, we only really need this first top number. And once you have the means, you can already calculate it. And realistically, you don't even need to know the numbers of the means, just the amount of means that you have. In this case, of course, is going to be 3. Now, the first thing you need is to calculate the total degrees of freedom. So we'll call that TDF. And this is simply expressed by looking at this top number and these side numbers. I'm sorry, these top numbers are the amount of groups that you have, the amount of categories that you have, and then the amount of data points within those categories. So in this case, we have 3 different groups, and we have 3 categories. We're going to call this top part M, and this bottom part here N. To calculate the total degrees of freedom, we're just going to take M times N minus 1. Now we subtract 1 because as long as you know the mean of any particular group, you can calculate one of these data points with the other data points. So as long as you had the mean again, you could take away this 5, and as long as you knew what 6 and 7 were, you could figure out what this is. So you don't really need that in terms of total freedom for the analysis of variance or the formula itself. So if we're going to calculate this total, we would just take M times N, which is 3 times 3, minus 1, which is going to give us 8. Then we're going to want the within subjects degree of freedom. Now to calculate this, it's just going to be a little different. It's just going to be M times N minus 1. And so when we do this, of course, we come out with something a little bit different. So N minus 1 is 3, so really what we're looking at is 3 times 2, which of course equals 6. 6 becomes our degree of freedom for within subjects. Lastly, for between subjects, degrees of freedom, we're really looking at the degrees of freedom for the means. So if we have 3 means, the degrees of freedom, which is just normally M minus 1, in this case, since we're doing groups or means instead of N, which would be the data points, M minus 1 just becomes 2. 3 minus 1, 2. Now you'll notice, just like in the sum of squares, the degree of freedoms will add up to the total degree of freedoms as well. 2 plus 6 equals 8. This will happen every time.